Hi, welcome to QuBites, your bite-sized pieces of quantum computing. My name is Rene from Valorem Reply, and today we're going to summarize Season 5 of QuBites, which also means this here today is the 50th episodes of QuBites. Yes, 50 episodes since we started in fall of 2020, and what an amazing journey it has been so far. And surely it has been very informational, also for me, of course, right? I learned so much during Season 5 of QuBites again from all our amazing guests, and they shared so much great knowledge, and it was a huge pleasure to host them. And well, I hope you also learned as much as I did, and it was a valuable use of your time, right? And so let's summarize it. And we started Season 5 with Maria Mikhailov from the Azure Quantum team, and she shared with us new updates, of course, from Azure Quantum, which also included a $500 credit that everyone can use to, well, experiment with Azure Quantum, right? And play around with the solvers, but also actually use it for other tasks. And $500 is quite a bit, of course. We also talked about a topic which is near and dear to Maria's heart and also my heart. Of course, quantum computing education, right? And how can we train the new workforce for quantum computing? And she also explained what she's doing with universities there. And of course, we also talked about her new book about quantum computing, which, by the way, you should get a copy of. I'm sure it's awesome. After that, I had a good chat with my fellow Microsoft MVP, Johnny Heubergs, where he covered quantum computing for software developers and how, well, classically trained software engineers like myself as well, right, can get started with quantum computing. And what was also super cool was Johnny shared his own personal journey, if you will, and we talked quite a bit about that, right? In episode 3 of Season 5, we had not only one, but actually two guests. My Reply colleague, Sarah Feloni, was joined by her, well, a client basically, Praside Colombo from the IIBA Italy chapter. And I learned a lot about the relevance of quantum computing, but also business analysis for green business, right? And how we can ensure better sustainability in our new world, right? Another reply of mine was a guest for episode 4. Anush Dodji and I talked about the BMW Quantum Computing Challenge again, which you might also remember from Season 4, episode 8, when I talked with Marine Pigneur, when she shared the progress when this challenge, the BMW Quantum Computing Challenge, was still ongoing at this time. And now, of course, it's done. And so Anush gave us the final update. And also he shared quite a bit more about certain details of the implementation they did using quantum machine learning circuits. And he shared his learnings with us, and super insightful, definitely interesting. The intersection of actually quantum and classical computing was our topic with Robin Cox from Atom Computing, a quantum computing hardware vendor. And Robin explained really well how much classical computing is actually required, and classical computing engineering, if you will, is actually required to make a real quantum computer work. You might be surprised that there's so much classical computing actually involved, not just for controlling these, but a lot of other pieces to make a quantum computing actually work. And Robin also explained the a pretty amazing approach they're doing at Atom Computing with leveraging neutral atoms. Really enjoyed this conversation, and it was probably the conversation with Robin, and the episode there was probably the longest QuBites episode ever. We probably broke a record there, but definitely worth your time. And we had a lot to cover, of course, talking about quantum computing hardware, right? After this, we had an episode with another colleague of Robin, Kaylee Casella, and she joined us for a deep dive into quantum hardware development. And we also learned how a typical day for a quantum computing engineer looks like, and how much of working inside of a lab is actually there these days, right? Again, super insightful conversation about quantum computing hardware, which is a topic we don't talk a lot about in our show here. So it was really good to focus also a bit on the quantum computing hardware development and learn a little bit about how that actually works under the hood, and the latest and greatest developments there. Well, then in episode 7 of Season 5, I had the pleasure to welcome back Cassandra Grenade. And this time we didn't talk about the importance of noise simulation, which we talked about with her in the previous episodes, but this time we had another topic she's working on, and we talked about the quantum intermediate representation, QIR, which is an exciting technology that will basically make it much easier to program these, well, I would say heterogeneous quantum computing hardware systems we have these days, right? Which all have a specific instruction set. And QIR basically helps us to have a common abstraction or interpretation layer. And so we can target this as a programmers, right? And we don't have to worry about the specific instruction set of that classical machine. So amazing and super important technology, and great conversation again with Cassandra, right? Well, then I talked with my colleague Kevin McCormick from Valorem Reply, and we had a good conversation, and he talked with us about the Valorem Reply quantum computing offerings, right? The stuff we're doing there this year. And also what is also a great topic, and that was actually the main topic of this episode with Kevin, we talked about the demystification of quantum phenomena, right? And Kevin helped us to demystify quantum phenomena. So watch this episode if you want to learn what entanglement really is, and that entanglement isn't actually a spooky action as a distance, as Einstein called it, but rather depends on us observing it, right? So super cool episode. Highly recommend to watch this, the demystification of quantum computing. And then finally, Bob Sorensen provided us with a quantum computing market analysis based on his long-standing experience as HPC, high performance computing analyst at Hyperion Research. And well, we talked about the impact we're already seeing today with a quantum inspired solution, but of course, the early stages of quantum hardware. And of course, Bob also shared his future perspective, and I asked him to look into the crystal ball a little bit, right, about the future of the general quantum computing market. So really good conversations again, and overall, of course, amazing conversations. Well, and now we're here with the summary of season 5 already, right? 50 episodes. That's quite a thing, I would say. And really happy about the turnout there with all the great guests. And well, I hope you also enjoyed the show as much as I did. And it's always a big pleasure and honor for me, you know, talking and hosting all these fantastic guests and having some really insightful conversation. As you can imagine, we're already thinking about a season 5 of QuBites, of course. Afterward, probably will take a short break here after season 5, and then we will continue with season 6, of course. And so let us know what you have in mind, if you have any topics in mind, or if you think, oh, there's a really good guest Renee should interview, please reach out, whatever way you find, like through my social channels, but of course also via the official Valorem Reply channels on our website, for example. Just use the contact formula, whatever you want, right? But really, your feedback is so important, so please send us your feedback. The good and the bad ones, of course. We want to hear all of that. And of course, use this to improve the show. And again, if you have any recommendations for topics, guests, or maybe you actually want to be a guest, just reach out. Everything is fair and very open to be very flexible there as well, right? Well, thank you so much for joining us again for QuBites, your 50 episodes of QuBites, your bite-sized pieces of quantum computing. Please watch our blog, follow our social media channels to hear all about the next episodes. And of course, you can watch the previous episodes on reply.com. You can find the links to all of the episodes there. And you will also know, if you follow us on social, when we will launch season 6. But again, please reach out if you have any ideas. We're always happy to chat about it. Well, thank you so much. Take care and see you soon. Bye-bye.